Hey there, Bat fans! Welcome back to Markers and Monsters. Today I thought would be a wonderful day to pay tribute to TV's Caped Crusader. That's right, the Adam West Batman. Now, this is the Batman from what they call the Batman 66, or the Batman show from the 60s. It started in 1966 and ran for 3 seasons, featuring Adam West, the one and only, as the Caped Crusader. So let's talk a little bit about the drawing first. As you can see, I've just roughed in the figure very quickly here with the pencil, and just to get a good look at where things are. I usually start with the head and work my way down. Now, I ended up not liking where the Batarang was behind the head, so I'm going to adjust that as well. Using some reference photos I got online of exactly what his cape and his cowl looks like, I kind of just roughed that in as well. Just trying to make sure that I get the pertinent details right. The one thing what's great about drawing superheroes, even in TV, is that you can kind of position them any way you want with their masks and such, ensure that for the most part you don't have to be 100% accurate to what the face looks like, as long as you get the gist of what the suit looks like and the mask. And try for with Batman here, try to get that chin, that nice Adam West chin in there. I think it comes through nicely. Once the figure is in, I'm going to put in a rough background here, just something very simple. One thing about the 66 Batman show is it's very bright and colorful, and it didn't spend a lot of time making, these in-depth dark backgrounds like other Batman movies were. So I'm just going to rough in a city skyline there, and then up in the top put in a nice little bat symbol beaming up, calling the Caped Crusader to action. So once we have our pencils roughed in like that, we can then start getting the markers added in here. So what I'm going to do is start with that background. I wanted it to be a nice bright orange. Again, Batman was a very bright, colorful show, and so a bright background I felt would work well. And I didn't want to cloud it up with too many clouds or anything in the sky. Just keep it very simple, very comic book looking, as it were. So once that's in nice, I lay it down once. I go over it again real quick, just so you don't see as many streak marks with the markers. And off we go. Next up, I can put in things like the city skylines, start adding in that deep blue of his cowl and his cape and stuff like that. So a very fun drawing to work on. I really enjoyed myself with this one. Now, the Batman show, I'm going to call it Batman 66 from here on out, or the Adam West Batman. I'm going to use that interchangeably there, guys. So that's what's happening. Deal with it. But the 66 Batman show, I remember liking it a lot as a kid. Now, I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and even though this show had been off the air since 1969, reruns were on constantly. I remember Batman would always be on right before Laverne and Shirley. I can't remember what channel it was, but this was back when I was very young. And, we only had about 4 channels on the TV. And our TV, I remember, too, was one of those guys with the big dials that you had to crank. But, Batman was always a ton of fun to watch. What made this show so great as a kid was just that it was very colorful, very bright and vibrant, but it was still cool superhero stuff. It didn't talk down to kids. It still made it a lot of fun for kids, but at the same time being it's not super violent or gritty or traumatizing or anything. It's just a good-natured show, and I think that's one of the reasons it has held up over the years and really stood the test of time, is just that it's very it's very family friendly, but in a way that's not like adults would hate it or be like, this is just for kids. I think it's one of the best comic book shows out there, as it really captures the spirit of the comic books, especially at the time. If you go back and read in collections or whatnot, Silver Age comics like Batman, Superman, stuff like that, they were very colorful, very filled with just fun. The characters weren't like constantly lamenting the deaths of loved ones or crying, or, you know, villains weren't trying to like murder all the kids in an orphanage or whatever happens in modern comics today. Just lots of fun, silly stories. And you kind of got it right off the bat. You understood, Batman's a good guy. He dresses up in his cloak and does his thing in his costume, goes out, fights crime, whatever. You don't need some big explanation as to what's happening in his psyche. He's a good guy. The bad guys are bad guys, and that's kind of all there is to it. It's very simplistic, yes, but also a lot of fun. And very enjoyable to just sit back, watch. It's very nice sometimes when the good guys are good guys, the bad guys are bad guys. You don't have to worry about the morality or the gray areas or anything like that. And that's one thing. I know a lot of people like those kinds of stories. That's totally fine. But I like that there's shows like this, which is good for when you're not in the mood for that. So it's a great thing that we have those options. So as you can see here, I'm just adding in the rest of the markers. We'll be doing the belt here, the face, and the batarang. So not too much left here with the markers. This is very straightforward and a lot of fun. Start with the dark areas like I always do and work your way out from there. Yeah, so as a kid, I remember watching this show a lot. I know kids today that have watched it on, I know MeTV's Sci-Fi Saturday Night. They still show reruns of Batman, and kids today watch it and they like it a lot too. That it just goes to show you that I don't think kids need a like hyperkinetic, fast-paced, things that came before. Kids can still watch. Just turn it on. I think they'll really enjoy it. And I think that's one of the reasons that this show is really going to stand the test of time. There's always going to be this show being rerun on TV. There's always going to be people talking about it. With a newer-ish couple years ago, Blu-ray releases, it was finally available on home video for everyone to watch whenever they wanted. And the Blu-rays look gorgeous, by the way. If you haven't seen them, I would definitely recommend checking them out. You might not, you may never have seen the show before. If not, I hope you can check it out and realize what a ton of fun it is. If you have seen it, watching the Blu-rays is like going back in time, but seeing them, they're so crisp and clear and they look so great. So it's definitely worth checking out that way. Also, I'd like to point out that as of the recording of this video, the Batman 66 movie is on Netflix streaming, so you can watch it anytime you want. I think it's just called Batman the Movie, but ton of fun, great characters in that one, because Batman, the dynamic duo, Batman and Robin, team up and they fight off the Joker, Catwoman, the Penguin, and the Riddler, and it is amazing. Incredible stuff. Another reason this show was so good is the acting. We haven't really touched on Adam West. Unfortunately, Adam West passed away a few weeks ago after a battle with leukemia. He was in his 80s, so a long life and quite a legacy he left with lots of characters on TV. But I think Batman will go down as being one of the best, one of the greatest. Another thing I liked about Adam West is he didn't shy away from that. A lot of actors get resentful. Oh, I'm typecast as this role. I'm not actually Batman. But no, Adam West loved it. He loved the attention. He loved the character. He just thought it was cool. It's a classy, cool thing to kind of get yourself into, And he was a class act. I unfortunately did not get the chance to meet him, even though I've been at conventions where he was. He always had exorbitantly long lines, and rightly so. But from everything I heard, he was a very cool guy to meet, so that makes me very happy. Also on the show, you have, Burt Ward as Robin, was very good. And the villains are another great reason to watch. They are a ton of fun. Everybody's having a great time with their role. They're very cartoony, comic booky, big personalities, and lots of fun. So I highly recommend the 66 Batman show. I really enjoyed putting together this little piece of art here for you guys today. Let's just finish it up here. Couple more like random little bits to do. That bat symbol up at the top is a pain. So I'm going to use my Copic multi-liners to get it just right. That circle in the sky. Don't want that bullying out. And do the lines on the side. I can do a little bit of white highlights here and there where it needs it, especially on the mask. He's got the white eyebrows and the things that are over the nose. That's what makes the 66 Batman mask. Let's sign it up here. Take a look at the scan then. There we go. Looking good. As always, I had a ton of fun drawing this. It was great reminiscing about the Batman show. Like I said, when I was a kid, I loved watching the reruns. Kids today, I know, like watching the reruns. And Adam West really left a magnificent legacy. So yeah, I don't know what else to say, guys. If you haven't seen it, check it out. If you are a fan, rewatch it again, and just have fun with it. Not everything has to be dark and gritty and grimy and depressing. Sometimes you can just have fun in life, like I like to. So I guess that's it for me. Check out my social media stuff. This was Colin. You've just watched Markers and Monsters. And hey, don't touch that channel. We'll be back next week with a new Markers and Monsters episode. And I think you guys are going to love it. Till then, we'll see ya. Bye.
Who is it this time, Commissioner? Joker, Egghead, Riddler, King Tut?